Welcome to ET with GOTB at Euro 2025 Match Day 1. I'm Rachel.
I'm Sophie.
And this is Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. Right, yes, we are coming to you from a car park if you're watching on YouTube.
This is what life on a tournament road is like.
This is what you're going to see if we're doing daily podcast episodes, and that is what we are promising.
Currently 10 past 12 in the evening.
In the evening?
No, in the morning. Midnight, 10 past midnight. And I think we've both lost the plot a little bit.
Yeah, so we apologise in advance, but the plan for this is to be short, to be sharp. We promise it's late, we're tired, but we want you to wake up in the morning with all of the info of what's gone down on day 1. Sophie.
Yes.
I travelled by train.
Yes.
From Zurich to Basel. You drove.
Yes.
I feel like I had the least stressful journey. You might have some cars driving by. It is what it is, guys, okay?
Life on the road.
Yeah, we had different journeys. I feel like mine was a little bit more stress-free than yours. Mine was definitely hotter than yours.
Yes, but I had a lot of traffic.
Yeah. And what's great about
I actually didn't have a lot of traffic. I got here in jig time until I spent an hour circling the stadium to find the parking.
And guess what?
An hour.
We found the car park. Yeah, but actually what UEFA have done is they put on free transport on match day for people with match tickets and accreditation. So if you're going to that match, I could take the train from Zurich to Basel for free, and I could then get the tram to the stadium as well, which was pretty cool. Anyway, that is where our excitement for UEFA ends, because then we arrived to the media hub and there was nothing available except for water. And I don't even think that was free. I just think
it was free.
It was on the menu for 4 francs.
No, but they had like a media
But I think everyone just was like, we're taking this water whether you like it or not. Unlike the previous Euros where we got food bags, there was nothing. There was no tea, there was no coffee, there was nothing. Everything had to be paid for, and it ain't cheap. So that was quite disappointing, wasn't it? We are hungry.
And
we are hungry and hot. Oh my God, it's so hot. Okay, on to the games. Iceland 0, Finland 1. Kasala with the goal. You were leaving early, that's why we came at different times. You had to write about this game for The Guardian. Go check out her match report. But that's why you got here early, so you could get to the stadium, cover that game, and I was doing some England media. Tight game, physical game. We got our first red card.
We did. Finland were the better team, and they deserved the win, even though Iceland had come back into it a little bit. But they were, throughout, I think, the better team. They had the chances. They looked really bright going forward. They were cutting, in the first half especially, they were cutting Iceland open. Like Francie was just running through the middle. Kasala was a real live wire throughout. She was electric in the first half, got her goal in the second half. And they really, I think, surprised the Icelandic group of players, because I don't think they were expecting the energy with which they came at them.
Yeah, I think Iceland were a little bit disappointing, actually. I think we thought they would be pushing Switzerland for second in this group, and we also said that it was a very difficult group to predict, and I think that proved it.
The problem with Iceland is that they do rely so much on Jónsdóttir, and when you can't get her into the game, as they struggled to do at times, she had a couple of good long throws. There was one chance in the first half where she set it up on a plate, but there was a big recovery block from Emma Corvisto.
Hello.
So there were opportunities for her, but she didn't really get into her rhythm in the game as much as Iceland really needed her to. When they were trying to go forward.
And then in the second half, there were 2 yellow cards in 7 minutes for Anton Zottir. That is a game she's going to want to forget. Got a red card sent off. And it was really confusing as well, because the second yellow appeared to happen kind of off the ball, off camera.
There was apparently a cheeky little stamp on Evelina Suminen that the referee spotted, and that's why the second yellow card was given.
Yes, so for us it was quite difficult because no one really saw what happened. Anyone kind of covering it from TV didn't really see what happened, but they went down to 10. Actually, Iceland weren't too bad when they went down to 10, were they?
No, but then Finland really kind of took the mantle and
got that goal, 70th minute?
70th minute, but they got their energy back again. They realised that they really could capitalise on this moment. This was their opportunity, I guess, in this tournament to really kickstart it. It was their first win in 16 years in a European Championships.
Wow.
If you remember back to Euro 2022, they didn't win at all. They really struggled in that group. So this will do them the world of good. And I think, that goal, it was well-deserved, and it was well-deserved for her as well, because Costello had been brilliant throughout.
Yeah, the most annoying part for me was I went out at 69 minutes to go and find my photo seat and to maybe get a bit of content, and they scored in the 70th, so that's absolutely typical. Anyway, we were then ready for game 1 of the day, which came second, obviously, because game 2 was the first game. Switzerland, Norway, it ended Switzerland 1, Norway 2. Rice and Hegerberg and Sierli with the own goal. We will get to that, absolute devastation. But firstly, opening ceremony, thoughts?
I think I saw the clips of it on social media, and it looked better from above than it did from the side.
Big giant silver pole things.
Pole things being waved around, and apparently there was a balloon.
So yes, so I was watching.
In the middle.
Yeah, I couldn't work out what it was. I thought it was like seashells or some sort of like underwater seahorse.
No, from when you saw it from the top, you could see the trophy. But yeah, a little bit confusing about what was going on.
Yes, and it was some very emotional captains as well, which is actually quite sweet to see. Both Ada Hegerberg and understandably Leah Valti leading her team out at a home Euros were both quite emotional. Packed out stadium, lots of noise in the stadium. Anthem. Oh, unreal! I tell you what though, beforehand, lots of people buzzing around, very little atmosphere. They're all just kind of chilling on the ground and like eating or like, I don't know, going to the shops in the stadium. Like it was quite unusual. There wasn't a lot of vibe outside the actual ground, but once you got into the stadium, atmosphere was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And a very good start from the Swiss, absolutely targeting the wings.
They did. They really, Norway had quite a narrow back three, and so it was allowing Switzerland's wing backs to kind of break down, and they had so much space. Iman Benny was like a huge challenge. She's obviously just signed for Manchester City in the summer window. But yeah, she was having a great time running down that side. And then Racing down the other side as well. And they were having so much joy. And Switzerland were just, exploiting the opportunities that were given to them. And as they created more chances, they just got on a roll. And I think Norway really struggled to get into the game.
That was a surprising thing. They played a back three, didn't they? And they just didn't really adapt. And then they tried to adapt and then they reverted back. And it just seemed a bit like
they went to a back
unsure.
Four at some point. Then they started again with a back three and then very quickly changed back to a back four. So they were a bit indecisive with that. But they were allowing, throughout, even when they came back into the game, they were allowing Switzerland so much space down those wings. And when Pearce and Duggar threw on Sydney Chantalib, Elia Pilgrim, they came on and they added pace and youthful energy to the game, and it just kept going, and they had the chances to equalise.
Well, firstly, they did have that goal, huge excitement, massive roar in the stadium, a good goal. And it was one of those, like, everyone was kind of standing, it hit the post, kind of went across the goal, and it was a real, like, is it in?
It was because they just hit the bar.
Yeah.
Rutler had just hit the bar. She crashed a brilliant shot off the crossbar, maybe 3 minutes beforehand. And so when I think people saw the shot hit the post, they were like, not again. And then it was suddenly in the back of the net.
Yeah, there was one thing that kept throwing me off, though, throughout the game, and it was a chant that the Swiss were doing, and maybe someone who speaks German or is Swiss can tell me what the chant is, but it sounds like they're chanting hot cheese.
I think it was Volti.
I don't even think it was, because it had a different chant for Volti, which sounded like something else as well, but I'm not going to say what it sounded like. But it sounded like they were singing hot cheese, and there's multiple reasons why that wouldn't make sense, because why would they be chanting about hot cheese? And second of all, they have a word for hot cheese, and that's fondue. So why would you not just say that? Anyway, I don't know. I was getting delirious.
Can you inform us on what the chant is? Because we'd love to know. We'd love to join in.
People around me started smelling like hot cheese. Okay, it was absolutely baking down on the pitch, and everyone was sweating, and it was disgusting. Anyway, yes, went in ahead at the break. It was very exciting. I think we kind of thought like Switzerland were really impressing. We thought they were actually going to potentially come out and win this game, but Norway, tweaked things a little bit. Game of two halves, as Gemma Granger said. Ada Hegerberg getting that goal, and then there was kind of just a couple of minutes of madness, because then you had the penalty. Then you had the own goal, which was an absolute killer, because
heartbreak.
It was one of those with nothing she could do about it. She knew Ada Hegerberg was on her shoulder, and I guess Ada Hegerberg forced her to make that decision. But it was just any other day that would have gone over the crossbar, gone wide.
Yeah, you could just see like her, soul leaving her body as she like crashed on the ground and realised what had happened. It was a brilliant finish, by the way.
It was actually.
But yeah, it's just I think I wrote in our match report. You need leaders in those moments, and Ada Hegerberg, despite the season that she's had, despite the inconsistencies of form and the fact that she hasn't always started for Lyon as well, she steps up at big moments, and that was her 50th goal for Norway, and they really needed her to turn it on in that moment. And that, I think the header for me was a really impressive one. It was
Yeah.
such a good run, but
Yeah.
the power that she got on her,
Unbelievable in the air.
from her jump and heading it into the back of the net was brilliant. It was trademark.
And then we had the penalty given. I don't know which Swiss player it was, but they got like briefly confused with the game they were playing and thought it was like volleyball or something, and just the most obvious handball. It was a penalty. It went to VAR. It was a penalty. Ada Hegerberg, a penalty to forget. She dragged it wide, and 90 seconds later, Switzerland got a penalty, and it was just like it was a chaotic kind of couple of minutes. Penalty went to VAR. It was overruled. It was too soft, but you just kind of felt like it just suddenly there was all of this drama and chaos.
I think there was an offside in the build-up.
Ah, okay, right, that would make sense because that was the other end.
But yeah, there was chaos, and then the funniest thing is we went immediately to a cooling break, which we really needed in this weather. Don't get me wrong, but we had just gone from literally maybe 5 minutes around the Hegerberg penalty. They'd literally run up the other end of the pitch and got the other penalty and had another 3 or 4 minutes with the VAR decision. And then they called a cooling break. And it was just like they hadn't actually run in about 10 minutes.
The whole second half was very disrupted. As soon as Norway went ahead, they were, I don't know why people call it the dark arts, they were time wasting. The whole time for about 30 minutes at every opportunity. They were dropping the ball when they were trying to take throw-ins. They were pretending they were confused when they were going off the pitch. Like, it was such obvious time wasting, and the crowd was losing their minds. But I do feel bad for Switzerland. You know, while Norway had opportunities to go 3-1 up, there was a Céline Bizet kind of looping chance over the goalkeeper that went wide. I also think Switzerland had opportunities.
They had like three blocks at the end, and I was like, when those don't go in, you know it's kind of not your day.
I think the main thing, though, is not the most confidence-inducing performance from Norway.
Underwhelming.
But I think Switzerland, for me, impressed. And from that performance, made me think they could get out of this group.
I think they can get something certainly against Iceland on the showing today. And, you know, they can trouble Finland, for sure. Finland look bright, but they've definitely got that opportunity, I think, to really try and make their mark in Group A.
Absolutely. Tomorrow, we've got Group B.
Yes. Who's in Group B?
Spain, Portugal.
Oh, yes.
Belgium, Italy.
We're going to Bern.
And we are doing the Spain game.
Yes.
Which I'm very much looking forward to. So it means in Group A that both Norway and Finland have picked up 3 points. I imagine their goal difference is the same because it's going to be 1. So the two of them are going to be up at the top of Group A. We've got Group B coming tomorrow, where we'll be going to Bern and doing the Spain game and doing another one of these. Whether we'll be in a car park or whether we'll be in the back of the car, I don't know. But hopefully now you are up to date with everything that happened on day 1, and we'll be back again to chat to you on day 2.